not sure if you know this, but I'm from Israel, and for a very long time I wanted to come here, and it was kind of a dream to, hang here, study, play music. And one of the things that I was very concerned for a very long time, also when I studied at New School, is, am I doing what I'm doing correctly? Like, when I'm working on music, when I practice guitar, am I playing or am I practicing? And am I doing it in the best possible way to understand information and to grow as fast as I can, or am I just messing around? It's exactly what I want to talk about today. If you're here, you probably like sounds, you like guitar, like music. And it's a good thing, I think it's great, but it's also sometimes very hard, or I would say sometimes it's frustrating, because we're just not sure if we're doing the right actions, because it's not always that clear. The connection, I guess, between practicing and being able to play something later sometimes is not one-to-one. And I want to talk about 12 points that I learned during these years in New York, and I saw a lot of these elements and points also with friends and colleagues. So it's not just me, but these are really solid points that I wish I knew when I started working on music, and I'd like to share it with you guys so your path is shorter and exciting, and you can reach your own peak, whatever that means. Where's my pick? My pick. Let's do it. 1. What does it mean to practice? So practicing, right? If you just think about it, you're saying I'm practicing something that I will play later. Okay, so you're practicing patterns or scales or ideas you're gonna play later, which is fine, of course. So I would like to call it for a second framework. Let's take something very simple. For example, C major scale, right? So we can practice C major scale, and there are quite a few elements when we practice. So there is the right hand, the left hand, the ears, the sounds, the theory behind it, but also there is the music, right? So C major scale is a beautiful universe of colors, and I don't want to dive into that. I just want to dive into the concept. So we can practice the framework. So I can practice C major scale here, and then I can try and make music with it. And I think the balance between the framework and the quote-unquote play or messing around is extremely important. And I feel a lot of students, including myself in certain points, I would just practice scales or exercises non-stop, but it was just the exercise. So I could do the exercise, but I couldn't make music with it. But soon, when I was already, I think in high school, I realized that that's not really cool. So what I did was, I would learn something and right away I would create a loop, or I would literally play on a record, I would play an album, listen to it, and play along what I was working on. So if I would work on a pentatonic scale, I would just try to execute, to create. So I think the first point of very good practice is finding the balance between framework and music. Very simple, but super effective, and we need to be aware of that. Some of the points at the end of this video are super crucial, so I would suggest to check it out as well. 2. This is extremely important. I would take the new information that I learned, whether it's a position or something really chromatic, doesn't really matter. I would take the new information and I would bring it to a place that I'm familiar with. And it could be one chord, it could be one thing. I usually bring it to a blues. And the reason that you want to do it is that you want to connect new information with big chunks of old information that are intact. So you bring the new information into the old information and you basically assimilate that in all that big, ball of information and connection. So you want everything that you learn to be as deep as possible. And I think by connecting it, for example, for me, the first place I would take it would be a blues in F, right? If I try to just understand something complex, I'll be okay, let me try and play it with the blues in F. It could be anything that works for you, but just take something that is not challenging on that level, but still has a lot of connections and nods for you. Oh, if you dig this kind of information, it's something that is meaningful for you and you'd like to support, the best way to support is probably through Patreon. There's a lot of information, a lot of PDF, jam tracks, and a bunch of stuff. Thank you. 3, are you having fun? And that's a solid question. We do learn much, much better when we are having fun. And I think the word play versus practice is a little bit that, right? So we want to keep our practice play, like in that sense of playfulness. We want to always be aware. We want to be as kind of in time and space as possible, listening, attentive, and experience. Because when we do that, the brain will register the information. If we're just hanging out, and for an hour, spacing out, thinking about pasta or watching Netflix while quote unquote practicing, it's not really practicing. Again, maybe there are some elements that you can understand and it's cool, but like it's not truthful practice. So what I'm saying is try to see what makes you happy, and if working on a Britney Spears song is your desire, do it. If working on a B.B. King solo, this is where your heart is, great. Jimi Hendrix, West, Pat Metheny, whatever it is, whatever triggers your heart and really makes you happy, that you are excited. So, sometimes I'll have like a dark moment and what I'll do is I'll listen to my jazz heroes. I'll just like go back to the albums that I'm like, just incredible. So this is what we want to do. We want to connect to that emotional place. Question: is this helpful? Please drop a comment. Tell me which one of the 12 points you are feeling the most. 4, and this is also a huge one. When you're practicing, connect the practice play into clear goals. So if you want to learn, for example, arpeggios all across the guitar, great. Learn the framework. Very soon, connect it to a song. Make music with it, but also have very realistic goals. So first, maybe I'll learn one position. Then I'll try and play it in time. Maybe then I'll sing it. Then I'll try to play a song with that concept of the triad or whatever it is. So, just saying like I want to play guitar in scales, well, it's not helpful. Saying I want to play C major scale in this position, 40 BPM, 8 notes. Okay, this is starting to be something that we can talk about and we can measure, and then we can feel the progress, and then we can enjoy that and see like, okay, I couldn't do that 2 weeks ago, but now I can. This is freaking cool. 5, new stuff. I think sometimes we all feel in this rut. We feel like we're not progressing. We're not sure if we're doing it right. I think one of the things that are super helpful is learning new things. I myself love taking lessons with people. So I'll hit up guitar players I love. I'll hit up singers. I'll take vocal lessons. Anything I can do, I like learning. So I'll try and learn as much as I can. It doesn't have to be even a person. It could be you transcribing something you like, or you checking out something you're curious about. But I think the process of learning new things is really exciting, and it feels like you're going somewhere, which is, I think, with music, super helpful for the arc of it. 6, we get really good at what we do, but we need to be consistent. In that sense, when you're just practicing, quote unquote scales up and down for 4 hours, it's cool, but it's not as effective as making music with it. So again, make sure that you're practicing what you want to be. In that sense, if you want to play blues, make sure you learn the information, but also make sure you utilize the information. So you practice the songs, you practice the singing, you practice the vocabulary. Of course, there are a lot of elements to that, but again, the point of this is we get good at what we do. So make sure you do that. If you're digging this, please swipe the like button. Okay, just hit it. Maybe drop a comment, and if you really like it, maybe tell a friend. 7, music is a beautiful thing. And I think connecting the instrument, because it's a physical instrument, to our system in a strong way is really necessary. So what I'm suggesting here is singing. You don't need to be an opera singer, but you do need to be able to hear and understand what's going on here. And I feel it's very satisfying actually to be able to make those sounds. Even if you're just singing a scale, even if you're just humming like a little melody. You know, super simple, but the idea of like imagining a color and being able to produce it and then maybe changing it. Right? It's something that I feel is crucial as musicians. Even if it's gonna be a very slow process, I would really advise to start it. Just start singing, start humming songs when you walk, start singing along to the instrumental stuff, start singing with the singers in your car, whatever you do. Just utilize your voice and make sure that you connect the instrument, the physical thing to this. Alright, so last week I asked you guys if you're into doing this group guitar thing, and I got a lot of yes guitar in the comments, so I am really excited to announce that I'm going to do the first trial of a guitar group. So there's gonna be a link in the description here. You can just click it and apply, register, and then we'll figure it out from there. Cool. 8. We are kind of emotional creatures, the way I see it. And I think one of the things that I used to try and do is just like, get the thing under my fingers, but I wouldn't necessarily connect emotionally. And I think at the end of the day, it's all about expressing ideas and emotions with those sounds. In that sense, when I'm learning something new, I will try and ask myself, how does it make me feel? How does this chord, make me feel? And how can I use that when I create something? So it's not just about information in the sense of like, this is G major 7 at 9. It's cool. But also how does that feel? And why would I want to create that sound? So I think a lot of times that almost vague emotional place of tagging is super important. And that's something that I wish I would start doing it when I didn't have the words, because I think that's a great place to start. And then you learn the theory and you're like, okay, this is that, and this is how it makes me feel. 9. One of the things I really enjoy is trying and challenge myself. So sometimes I would just, go to the piano. I'm not a piano player, but I can find the melody. And even if it's hard, I can find it. And then I'll find the chords, and maybe I'll play a song, and maybe I'll try and play a solo. The point of this is trying to see the sound and the colors from a different perspective. It doesn't have to be piano. It could be anything else. It could be bass. It could be ukulele. It could be any instrument that is not what you're trying to do. Because there is something playful. This is the same kind of subject we're trying to kind of negotiate here. Are we practicing or are we playing? And I think we want to make sure that we are always playing, even when we're practicing. That playfulness is a huge, huge part of it. 10. Using a timer. So At different times, I have different feelings toward that. Sometimes I'll restrict my technical practice into a very specific time frame, because otherwise I try to do all the variations and that takes hours, and then I can't, quote unquote, use the information. So what I'll do is I will say like, oh, I'm doing this exercise or this set of exercises for half an hour, and then I'm going to utilize it. I'm going to do these exercises for 15 minutes and then I'm going to try and use it. But I sometimes use a timer, and I do find that actually helpful. You can do any ratio that you want, maybe 5 minutes of scale and then use it for 10 minutes, or 50-50, whatever you want. But try to find and build that relationship also with a timer. 11, letting go. What I mean here is you're practicing something and you're trying to learn a song, and you're just like, working on that for some days, weeks, whatever it is. And then you want to try and let it go and try to just feel it. Even if you're making mistakes, try to see how you can utilize like the information in a non-aware way, if that makes sense. It's kind of connected to this book that I really like. Ta-da! The Inner Game of Tennis, which is now just destroyed. But like trying to trust our system as well. In that sense, letting the system take over the rationale of us having this inner dialogue when we practice. So sometimes just letting go and kind of like taking off responsibility, be like, okay, I practice it, let me just try and do it without trying. 12. This might be the most important one. Don't test yourself. Don't test yourself, but practice. I think it's a huge one. I think it might be the most important thing I could tell you guys. And it's really hard to do. I talk to myself about it all the time. Like, am I practicing or am I testing myself? Is this me trying to show myself that I can play guitar, or am I actually trying to learn a new thing? Am I trying to make it better, or am I trying to prove myself that I know something? And it's, sometimes it's hard to do, but I think aspiring there is really great. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this was interesting and helpful. I wish I had this video when I started practicing guitar, because these are things that I just struggled so long with, and I hope this is helpful. I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.